Hello and welcome to today's special episode on Veeam Backup Replication. Let me just go ahead and check the number of attendees here. Okay, there are a few people joining in, so probably just give 2 more minutes for the other people to get and jump on the session. And before we proceed further, as usual, there are a few instructions that I pass on to my attendees. Guys, if you have any questions, there is a chat window which you can make use of it, and you just pop in your questions at the end in the Q&A session. I'll try and answer all of your questions. If anything that you need help, you can raise your hand. Let me know. Okay. And before we go ahead and proceed further, can you just go ahead and click on the hand icon so I can just make sure everybody can hear me properly. Just want to make sure I'm audible to everyone. Okay, looks good. Perfect. Okay. So give me a minute and we should be starting the session a minute from now, okay? Okay, I think a good number of people are connected, so it's a good time to go ahead and start the session. Just to quickly start with a quick introduction, my name is Rahul Shinde and I'm the solution architect for working for Veeam Softwares. And today's webinar is completely focused on archiving and moving your data offsite with longer retentions. So that's the key topic that we'll be discussing today: keep it safe, archiving, and retention. So we always been getting requests from customers like, I would like to go and archive my data to another location for N number of years as per my compliance strategies. So we definitely can help customers to archive and probably ship that backups to another offsite locations, performing offsite backups. Before we get into the offsite backups and the archiving thing, let's get into a complete high-level architecture, how exactly the backup works and how things, moves on. So to start with, we got a Veeam server at the top in the green color. We have a proxy. Creating a proxy is just, if you have a Windows machine, it could be a physical machine or a virtual machine. To create a virtual machine or a physical machine as your proxy, all you have to do is just in Veeam console, right-click and say click a new proxy, enter the IP address or hostname of that XYZ machine, and just install the role of a proxy. There's nothing that you have to do else. No software needs to be installed. Nothing has to be done. It just takes probably a couple of minutes to create another additional proxy for your environment. So basically, when you start a backup job or when you trigger a virtual machine job, what it does is the Veeam backup server, which you see on the left and top, will basically invoke my proxy server. The proxy server is ideally a component which is responsible for talking to my host, getting the information of all the virtual machines which needs to be backed up. Later it will also perform compression, deduplication, everything. And post-processing, it will go ahead and save my data back to my repository. Now, repository is the one which we see in the middle of the screen. That's my primary backup storage. Now, it can be anything. It can be a SAN, it can be a NAS, a DAS, a CIFS shares. Even for that matter, if you can run your backups and save your backups to a USB drive as well. All I need, my repository should have a proper communication, and it should be listed in my Veeam server. That's all I need. Rest, everything is quite flexible. So when I trigger a backup job, the proxy will invoke. It will go and talk to my host. Like as you see on the extreme left-hand corner, there's a VMware and Hyper-V host. It will get the information after fetching the information of which all virtual machines which needs to be backed up. It will take a backup, process the data like compression, deduplication, and data will be saved to my primary backup storage. That's my primary repository. So that's a very simple thing that we are talking about. But what if I need to move my data to another location, or what if I want to take a backup to tapes? So yes, you do get options to backup to tape with the new release of version 7. In version 7, it's a D to T. So initially, I'll be backing up my virtual machines to disk, and from disk, I can push it to tapes. Okay, so as you can see from my primary backup storage, I got two options. I can move my backups to tape using performing archive to tape options, where I can push my data to a tape drive or a tape library or VTLs. Or I can have create a backup copy job which will move my virtual machine backups from my primary site or my primary storage to my secondary storage, which is probably somewhere offsite, in running at an offsite location. Now, again, we've been seeing challenges when you move your data from one site to another site. So the main problem is the bandwidth. Okay, so if you want to, let's say, if you want to move a terabytes of data from one site to another site, it might take ages or days to complete that movement of your virtual machine backups. So just for this reason, we also have given our customers an added, a kind of an add-on called WAN acceleration. It's a built-in WAN acceleration which can basically speed up your data movement up to 50 times faster, and it can move your data across sites like 50 times faster. Okay, so what is WAN acceleration, how it works, we'll be discussing more in details as well. Give me a second. Okay, so that was a quick overview of how the backup works and how I can move my data to tapes. So let's move on and let's see how the tape things works actually. Okay, so basically for tape support, it is tested with all LTO drives, LTO libraries and virtual tape libraries. And what we need is basically requires proper Windows support when vendor provided drivers, and it should be listed or registered in my Windows Device Manager of Veeam server to which it is connected. Drivers must be on the Veeam management server. Management server is the same server where you have installed Veeam, so that's my Veeam server. It's again PowerShell aware, so basically Veeam allows you to work with tape devices that are directly attached to a Veeam backup server. Now, tape devices can be connected over fiber channel or SCSI or SAS. You can also use the Microsoft iSCSI initiator on the Veeam backup server to connect a tape device on a remote server via iSCSI. Now, both physical and virtual tape libraries and standalone drives are supported by Veeam version 7. So you can very well take benefit of using all these technologies and move your backups to tape. So now let's get into the more deeper architecture, what exactly happens when you move your backups to tape, or how exactly the backup to tape works. Now, as you can see, to backup data to tape media and restore from tape, archive Veeam uses several components, and these are like source, data path, Veeam backup server, tape device, and Veeam backup database. So let me just go into each and every component and explain you what exactly is all these 5 components all about. Okay, now talking about source is kind of an initial location or a primary location from where backup files or regular files which you want to archive to tape resides. Okay, this can be anything. It can be a backup repository where Veeam backups are stored, or a Windows or a Linux machine hosting files that needs to be archived. So that's my source. Coming to the data path. Data path is, let's say during archiving or restore process, data is transferred between 2 Veeam transport services. Now the source side transport service basically will communicate with a proxy which is on the source, like the repository or the server which is hosting my files. And then basically it will read write the data from that source. Now, second thing that comes is a target side transport service which runs locally on the Veeam server machine to which the tape device is actually connected. So it basically read writes the data to and from the tape device. The data is transferred in the compressed format. For compression, the default compression level is used. Next thing what happens is a transport service which is responsible for archiving files and folders from my Windows and Linux server or Veeam backup files from backup repository to the specified media present on the tape library. So restoring of files and folders or Veeam files recorded on tapes and placing them in the backup repository of the folder, virtual machines can then be restored through Veeam Backup Replication recoverability capabilities. Okay, so that's about the data part. Talking about Veeam Backup Server, it's just a core component present in my backup infrastructure that would manage all the operations, schedules, and which is solely responsible for executing my backup jobs or replication jobs. So that's my Veeam Backup Server. Coming to tape device, like physical tape library or virtual tape library, or it could be a standalone tape drive. The only thing is that the tape device should be located in the same site running in the same Veeam Backup Server, and connections between them is established directly using fiber channel or SCSI, or over the network using iSCSI initiators. Tape device and Veeam servers can be located in the same or in a different sites as well, depending on the repositories. I'm sorry. Now the last thing, that is Veeam Backup Database. So this is a main component which basically is used to store all the following tape related data. Now basically the database, or the Veeam Backup Database, stores the tape catalog, which basically stores the files and folder which are archived to my tape media, such as a VBK, like a .vbk file and .vib file, backup files. It is updated during file to tape and VM to tape jobs. So basically the content of the tape catalog can be examined under the tape node in the file view. Backup catalog stores information about my virtual machines whose backups were archived to tape media. So the content of the backup catalog is updated during during virtual machine to tape jobs, and can be examined during backups by under tape node in the backup replication. So that's how the tape backup works, using these 5 important components, like the source, data path, Veeam server, tape device, and backup database. So let's jump on to the next one. Performing the backup copy job. That was the second option which we showed you if you want to move your data to tapes, or if not tapes, if you want to move it to a secondary storage, which is probably running at another site or an off-site location. You want to move your virtual machines from site A to site B. So how we can do using a component called WAN acceleration. So this is about backup jobs. Now, backup jobs is the main aim of having a backup job is to copy a VM recovery points or a restore point from source repository to the target repository. Now, every backup job that you create, it's basically its own folder on my target site or my target repository, and stored all the copied recovery points, and the folder has the same name as that of my backup copy job, and that becomes easier to identify your backups at your offsite location. Now the backup job is, or the backup copy job is ideally a separate task that you need to run, that you need to set apart from your backup jobs, basically. Okay. The backup copy job runs continuously and has multiple phases in it. So the first one is the ideal state. So let's say for most of the time the backup copy job remains in the ideal state, waiting for a new recovery point to appear on the source repository. Okay. Now the second phase, that is the synchronizing phase, or the synchronization phase, what you say. It basically starts at a specific intervals of time. So you can define any time interval which you need, maybe in minutes, in hours, or days, as per your need and requirements. So at the beginning of a new interval, Veeam Backup and Replication will check if a new recovery point is available from the source, and if yes, it will go ahead and start the synchronization. Now if a new recovery point is found, the backup copy job starts the synchronizing process and would go ahead and copy the latest virtual machine recovery points from my source backup repository and copy it to the target backup repository. Now on the other hand, if it doesn't find a new restore point, the backup copy job will go back to the ideal state. Since it doesn't have a new recovery point and there's no job to be done, it will again go back and switch to idle mode. Okay. The third type of an operation, that's the transform operation. So after a backup copying task, Veeam performs a number of additional transform operation on a target repository. Now my backup is now present on my target repository. So what all it does? So basically, transform operation include three different tasks. The first is like transforming a backup chain. When a new VM recovery point is copied on my target repository, Veeam will go ahead and check the retention policy settings for that backup copy job. Now, if the limit in recovery or the restore point is already exceeded, Veeam transforms the backup chain to make room for a new recovery restore point. And after the transform process completes, Veeam can perform certain additional operations like removing your data from deleted virtual machines from the backup chain and just compacting a full backup file. Removing deleted virtual machines from restore points is like in the backup copy job settings, you can select to maintain a particular retention policy for your deleted virtual machines. So let's say there's a VM which has been deleted. Now, if you wish to keep that deleted virtual machine for n number of days, you can ideally specify that maybe a week's time or 2 weeks time or a month. You can specify that in the retention policies for deleted virtual machines. So in this case, Veeam Backup Replication will check the list of virtual machines which are included in the job and remove data for deleted virtual machines from the backup chain on the target repository. So this is how the things would work. Now again, there's a last component that it also, or there's a last function it performs, is like compacting a full backup file. In a backup copy job settings, if you can select a periodical compacting your full backup to reduce your size and increase the speed of read-write operations, okay, you can probably get more information about how to compact a full backup file using our admin guides. That's the best place where you can get an in-depth view and in-depth things how it exactly works in the operation guide. So this is like performing a backup copy job to another site. Okay, so let's take a look at the 1, 2, 3 approach, okay, or we call it the reverse way. It's a 3, 2, 1 approach. So 3, 2, 1 rule, what we say is having 3 copies, 2 different storage mediums, and 1 offsite backups, just to ensure you have a good security of your backups. You have good availability of your backups in case you need to restore any data from your backups. Okay. Now basically this gives you a flexibility of choosing your specific set of virtual machines or multiple jobs to build up your backup copy jobs rather. Now backup jobs is pretty much like Veeam running a backup job, but different being only for its own backup files. Okay, it will also dedupe the virtual machines or backup job across your complete backup copy job, which is like giving global deduplication across our jobs. Scheduling is again based on copy interval that you would like to define in the synchronization interval, which ideally would match your current backup schedule. So scheduling is very flexible. It depends on how you want to copy your backup jobs, maybe every day or twice a day. It depends. So you can do that scheduling as per your needs and requirements. It will also then need to build a Veeam backup files using the incremental modes and apply the GFS, the grandfather son retention defined in that policy as well. So that's one thing. So this is like the 3, 2, 1 approach is basically to help you define a proper role, a proper a plan for setting up your backup jobs, having 3 copies, 2 different storage mediums, and 1 offset backups, which will give you a redundant copy and ensure you have a backup strategy in place for that matter. Okay, so the most important thing, WAN acceleration, and so WAN acceleration features performance consideration, interoperability with other WAN accelerations, and monitoring and reporting for WAN acceleration. Now, storing a backups offsite has always been a challenge wherein you're just moving large chunk of data from your one side to another side, and what we have seen in most common is like the backup admin encounters problem, or rather the most common problem which a backup admin would encounter while performing an offsite backup is like constraint or having insufficient network bandwidth and transmission of redundant data again and again. Okay, so just to cut down this problems and to get out to with a solution, we have came up with a component that's we call as a WAN acceleration. So basically, to tackle the situation, Veeam offers you WAN acceleration technology that ideally helps optimizing data transfer over the WAN. Okay, now being a built-in feature, Veeam's WAN acceleration does not add any kind of a complexity and cost to your backup infrastructure. And the best part is it does not require any agents. So it's still an agentless option which you get for moving your jobs from one side to another side using WAN acceleration, which is built-in feature provided by Veeam for their customers. Now, technically what happens is WAN accelerations adds you can see a new layer in the backup infrastructure sitting between my Veeam transport service on the source backup repository and Veeam transport service which is running on my backup target repository. Okay, now to enable Veeam WAN acceleration and data deduplication technology, all you need to have is you must deploy a pair of WAN accelerators in your backup infrastructure. The WAN accelerator is deployed at the source side, which is closer to my source backup repository, and another one is deployed on the target side, which is again close to my target backup repository. And that's all you need, and rest just sit down and lay back and let Veeam do its work. I mean, it just works fine. And the most important thing is Veeam WAN acceleration is available only in the Enterprise Plus edition of Veeam Backup Replication. Okay, so that's kind of you can see a premium feature, which basically helps you moving your backup jobs from one side to another side. And again, works like you can move you can copy your jobs from one side or your primary side to your DR side or offsite locations 50 times faster. Okay, so that's the end of the presentations for today. So if you guys have any questions, this is the right time to go ahead and shoot your questions. So just probably if you have any questions, please make use of your question pane and just pop in your question. Okay, guys, I'm just waiting for any questions. If you have any questions, just feel free to come up with your questions. Okay. Well, these are my contact details. If you have any questions later on, I don't see any questions, so I think there are no questions at the moment coming in. But if you have any questions, any doubts, any help that you need for Veeam products, just reach out to me on my email address. Drop me a mail with your problems, and I'll try my best to answer all of your questions in a timely manner. Okay. You can also go and just go and visit the Veeam blogs and forums at www.veeam.com/blog and /forums. You'll get the entire information regarding all Veeam products. And I would also go ahead and request to everyone to go ahead and download the trial version. It's a 30 days full functional trial by Veeam for Veeam Backup Replication, where you can basically try and get a feel of the software in-house, and you can try how exactly it works to get the real-time statistics and the real-time numbers for in terms of backup your data, replication, uh, everything that you can test in your in-house. So please, guys, go to veeam.com, go to trial version, like products, select Veeam Backup Replication. You have a trial version for 30 days, so go ahead and download it. Just feel free to use it if you have any questions, any problems while running the application, installation. I'm always reachable to you, so you can reach out to me anytime. Just drop me a mail with your problem, and I'll be there to answer your question. Okay, so I don't see any questions. We'd probably like to spend a few more minutes and just wait to see if there's any questions coming up here. And I'd really appreciate if you have any questions. Let's make this session very much interactive. So if you have anything in your mind just going up, just blow out. Okay, there's no questions here. Okay, guys, I don't see any questions coming up, so I think we're good at this point. But guys, again, if you have any questions, I'll still go ahead and ask you to, or rather recommend you to download the trial version. If you have any problems, just reach out to me anytime. I'll definitely try my best to answer all of your questions, all of your problems, or reach out to you by email or phone calls and try and help you out. So, okay. So once again, thank you guys for spending in like 30 minutes of your time for today's presentation for Veeam Backup Replication, archiving, and performing offsite backups. Once again, this is Rahul Shinde signing off right now. So see you guys, and you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.